All right, hey everybody, welcome into Freeze Frame. This is episode 5. We made it already 5 episodes. Crazy how fast time flies. My name is Ryder.
Seriously.
And I'm joined by my awesome friend, my fantastic co-host, knows all about the movie news, Luigi. How you doing, buddy?
Woo! What's going on, everybody? So excited to be back.
Let's see, here's some of the news. We got some of the headlines in this episode, and we're talking about MGM might sell soon. We have a new animated show that's going to be coming out called Alpha Betas. We have some familiar names in that show. You're going to want to hear that one. We have a villain in a new Netflix blockbuster called The Gray Man. You're going to be surprised to hear an MCU heavy hitter is in this one. And then we got the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith is getting a remake. Do we want that? Who knows? When we talking... I know, right? It's a little strange, but those are some of the headlines. Let's go ahead and get into it. Luigi, what do you got for your first headline, man?
First headline, before we get into our headlines, actually, I want to do a little housekeeping.
That's right, that's right.
You brought this up to me, so you already forgot.
No, sorry. I'm in such a rush.
No worries. For all of our audio listeners and our audio platforms, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, I think there's Pocket Cast. There's a bunch out there. Even some Amazon Echo listeners. We get a ton of those.
Ooh.
Just want to say thank you guys so much for subscribing and listening and just supporting us on a weekly basis. We really enjoy doing this show, and this week is no different because we have a ton of stuff. As we said last week, we are no longer doing the show live on Twitch, but we're still going to be going live on Saturdays just to talk to the community, maybe watch some trailers, look at photos, and just have more of a explorative conversation on there instead of having a show where we can't interact with fans, which is more fun in my opinion. So we just wanted to let you guys know that's a little bit of our housekeeping. But without further ado, let's get started with the biggest news that I saw this week that I thought was like, what? Is this real?
I know,
like,
right? Yeah.
Is this serious? And that was the Donald Glover, the big man Donald, and Phoebe Waller Bridge from the show Fleabag on Amazon are gonna star in a Mr. and Mrs. Smith remake. And I'm just sitting here going, what? Apparently, this is gonna be at Amazon too, which is so random. And it's slated to come out in 2022. But I'm just sitting here going, who came to who? Who brought the concept over to Donald and was like, hey, man, we're redoing Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Right?
Like, Phoebe Waller Bridge.
It's one of those things that you always say. It's like, who asked for this? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
And then even to make content on it and to talk about it, it's like, wow, just another new headline that's a remake. Great. You know what I mean? It's not often we get fresh news about fresh content.
Absolutely.
But I mean, if you have Donald Glover, a great talent attached to a project,
bro,
I'm sure he'll be good.
But I understand what you're saying as far as like fresh news, because this is brand new stuff.
Yeah,
like nobody. I mean, at least I heard about this yesterday, right?
Yeah,
this
me too.
It's pretty hot. But for me, it comes down to like, it's not even original. You're just remaking.
Yeah, that's
something
what I meant.
And it sucks because it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith. What made that movie so great was that Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were sparking their relationship.
Yeah.
Like, you see it on camera. Like, you see them kind of fall in love with each other through the course of this movie. So then you're just like, is Donald Glover going to end up with Phoebe Waller Bridge? Like, are they going to have a fling?
Weird matchup. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Definitely, I'm interested to see it.
I don't know.
We'll see. We'll check it out.
But definitely the weirdest, like, I think out of everything that I'm going to talk about today, that was probably the one that I was just like, what? What?
I agree.
But hey, no judgment until the movie comes out in 2022.
Exactly.
And then we'll obviously give you guys a review on that.
Absolutely. All right, my first headline, one of my biggest news, right, we have, and I've been hyping this up for a little bit now, Chris Evans. This is the MCU heavy hitter we were talking about earlier. He is confirmed to be the villain in the Netflix blockbuster The Gray Man. So this film is also co-starring Ryan Gosling, Ana de Armas. This is going to be, it's going to have kind of Winter Soldier vibes, a conspiracy, a spy thriller, and Chris is going to be basically the opposite role of Captain America, right? He's being a polar opposite guy. This is a $200 million budget film for Netflix.
Whoa.
Isn't that great? And they plan to create a series of films that make a whole cinematic universe with this, which is insane. As for Chris being a villain, we kind of saw this in Knives Out, the kind of flair that he has that to be a villain. But I mean, what do you think about this, man? This is enticing for sure.
I believe this is the Russo brothers again, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be interesting for them because I think this is like if this is a series or is it going to be a TV show?
Well, it's a movie, but I think they're going to want to make a series.
Movie franchise.
Yeah.
Movie Okay. I think this is a great, like, personally, great direction for the Russos, just because I think that'll give them like another universe to kind of put their creative thought into. Still waiting to see how Cherry comes out and how that does to really gauge. I think that'll be a fun movie to review just because a lot of people like Tom Holland. But as far as Chris Evans being the baddie in this, I think that's going to be fun, contrasting Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure.
It's going to be like, because Ryan Gosling plays like a really good, sharp, like detective style. Like I'm sure he'll be a spy or something. I think that's going to be a really good back and forth between the two of them. They're going to feed off each other like crazy. Chemistry game's going to be off the chains that 8th graders in high school are going to be like, what?
I know, right?
You're going to be like, what? Because you're like, wait, 8th graders in high school? That doesn't make sense, Luigi. Exactly.
No, it does, though, if you think about it. Yeah.
Just like, no, because 8th grade isn't high school. It's middle school.
Oh, that's what you meant. I was thinking about something else, for sure.
But if you're talking about Chris Evans and Ryan Gosling, yes, that does definitely make sense. Great casting by their choice. And speaking of castings, J.J. Abrams is apparently rebooting Superman without Henry Cavill. What?
Savage. No.
We're not sure if J.J. is going to come in and direct or produce, but he's saying that he's already, has kind of like a vision in his head, and apparently DC has signed Henry Cavill to do Superman cameos, right, in future films. But as far as like having his own standalone movie, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen anymore. And it sounds like the DCEU is going to be kind of like a bunch of people playing the same characters.
All over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Marvel kind of has one storyline that's very linear. Obviously, we're getting into the multiverse. We'll discuss it in a bit. But when it comes to DC, their extended universe is kind of becoming more of like, hey, we have 3 people playing Batman right now. Oh, we have 2 people playing Superman. And it's going to become more like that, where it's like multiple iterations are happening at once. So you're not just like, oh, it's just one version and that's the canon. It's like, no, these are all canon, but it's just played by a bunch of different people.
Absolutely.
Which is kind of cool. I think that's the best direction for them. So I hope the reboot is great, because I mean, J.J. Abrams, we were just talking about him last episode. What happened to him? Boom.
I know, right? Coming in, yeah. And I'm fine with the multiple reincarnations. I'm fine with this as long as you attach a great director and a great production team and you have a great story. Because Robert Pattinson's Batman, I mean, the cinematographer, the composer, the director. I mean, come on, it's a stacked crew, and that gets me more excited than the actor itself, because I'm thinking, wow, these people can make a great thriller or a great horror film, but attaching it to a comic book movie is like, whoa, let's see their take on it. And so I'm fine that DC is more multiverse, that they have like 7 different comic book lines going at once. You know what I mean? While Marvel is great at doing a linear story, I want to see DC bring powerful crew members and powerful directors and writers to bring stories to these characters. If J.J. Abrams is good with Superman, sure, I'll be fine with that, but I also want Henry Cavill as well. I want both. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I would love to see Henry Cavill just finish off like that last cameo in Shazam. Like, just go and film it. Go back and do it. If you're already on contract, you might as well. And personally, like, what you're saying is so true. Like, with the Joker, one of the best reasons that movie was so good was because of the score that was written for it. And like, you have this very classical like violins and cellos and kind of like, you see this orchestra type feel in that movie that really brings it to life. And you're just kind of like, wow, this movie it went from like a level of like, yes, it was good and shot beautifully, to like, you felt the emotion, you felt the pain, you felt what was really going on in these characters' minds. And like, it's one of those movies that really is just really well made, and it's the highest grossing R-rated movie, so obviously it's gonna have to be well made. But like, what you're saying is so true when it comes to these films. Not just having a great actor like Robert Pattinson or Henry Cavill automatically means the movie's gonna be great. It's like, yes, sure, it's the story will be told in a linear fashion, or it'll be interesting and engaging. but it's about the people in the background, the post-production, the FX.
Absolutely.
You know, like so easily a movie could be ruined because visual effects are just shitty. You know, like look at Infinity War. I love Infinity War, but when you see Ruffalo in the Hulkbuster suit, you're kind of like,
that's a little scene that takes you. They blew it all on Thanos.
yeah, exactly. They were like, Josh Brolin needs to look legit, but everything else, you know. And it's funny because it's like, it's one of those scenes where you're watching the movie and you're so hooked, engaged, that even the littlest thing is gonna stand out. Yeah, you know, and like, and you're not necessarily looking for it, but it's like, oh, that does look a little cheesy, but whatever, you know.
Yeah, I got you. Well, continuing on with some casting news, this is probably one of the biggest headlines as well in this week. For those of you that are fans of the Last of Us series, we've talked about it on our TikTok. Feel free to check that out. That's been doing really great lately. That'll be linked everywhere where you can find links. Pedro Pascal has just been announced as Joel in the Last of Us series. Now, this is huge because we also have Bella Ramsey, who is a fellow co-star in the Game of Thrones series. They've both been on Game of Thrones. They're both associated with HBO. She's been casted as Ellie in the Last of Us show. So, I mean, there you have it as the main actors, really. You know, we got Neil Druckmann. He's writing it, but I don't know how you feel about this. People, there's mixed opinions because of the look. But as for acting, I think it's great. I think it's good.
Look, spoiler alert for Game of Thrones. Okay. She ends up dying on that show. Okay,
just out of nowhere. Why? Just so random.
Personally, she's a forgettable type of character. Okay. You know, like they played her up in Game of Thrones so much that like by the time she does die, you're just kind of like, you know, like you're not. I'm not sitting there like, oh my god, her storyline was so good and like interesting. It was just kind of like, you know. So,
but as a child actor,
for her to get casted as Ellie, to me, just seems like they were just trying to build her career. Like her agent just did a really good job of selling her, like she can do it, you know. And then like she obviously auditioned, and they must have liked her. But I think they went with Pedro Pascal because they needed someone with star power to really draw in people to watch the show.
Oh yeah.
It's just good business tactic. For me, Pedro Pascal is a safe actor right now, right? You're not pushing the boundaries, or you're not like necessarily testing the limits or the waters, but you're going with somebody who's guaranteed to draw in fans and who's pretty much guaranteed to give you what you're looking for as far as good acting, right? Pedro Pascal is pretty much up there with some of the greats right now. I mean, after freaking doing Narcos and then going on to Mandalorian, and now you're doing this, it's like, dude, you're a series regular now for a couple shows. You're big franchises, dude. Yeah. These are some big franchises. Like, he's getting so much responsibility, and it all has to do with the fact that he did such a good job with Mandalorian, I think. Because Mandalorian really brought him up a tier, because he did Narcos, and yes, some people watch Narcos. But it wasn't that mainstream as like now even Wonder Woman as well, you know, like now he's being made heavy hitters in DC films, so, Wonder Woman, you know? Like exactly, I totally forgot about Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but it's another like, heavy thing.
It becomes this thing of like, okay, Pedro, we're just gonna give you everything at this point, and then like fans are not gonna be upset. Like yes, some people were like,
he doesn't look like Joel.
Like I'm saying, but personally, it's one of those things where it's just like, hey, let's wait until it's finished, right? Because I don't remember the girl's name because she's kind of forgettable to me, but like, I'm not going to judge her acting based on just her last performance on Game of Thrones, even though I just did. Yeah. I'm going to wait, watch the first episode. If it gets me, I'm in. If not, I'm okay. It's like, for me, when it comes to TV, it's like, if it doesn't hook me within that first episode or even those first 30 minutes, like if it's only 30 minutes, you know, it has to like really bring me into that world and then make me be like, there's a reason for you to stay. Like WandaVision. Like WandaVision it's one of those shows that does such a great job of building on itself that you obviously want to watch the next episode, because if you don't, you wasted the time you spent watching the other episodes, you know? So I hope it's a great narrative like that really draws you in, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like I need to see what happens in the next episode, and isn't so linear with the video game, because then it's like, oh, I already know the story. You know, you know, anytime someone does something like a property that's already out there, I'm just like, give me a fresh take. Don't give me something that's already been done. Like, so easy to just remake what the video game already showed us, but like add in some new characters, you know? And yes, it's easy to say that. And yes, I've seen people do it, like The Walking Dead, where they'll bring in new characters and then they fuck up their franchise. But like, I don't know. I think creative leaps are good, but just have the bounds and the means to really know how to write the good story. You know, that's my thoughts on that. But I will say this, we did cover this story on Checkpoint, and if you guys aren't listening to Checkpoint, you guys better go check that out. James and our boy Vincent, both of our boys, great group of guys.
If you're into,
we had Ryder.
If you're into weekly gaming news, that's our gaming news podcast, for those of you that don't know.
Absolutely. They had a special guest. Ryder joined them. They talked about this story, too, because it kind of co-lives in both of these worlds that
gaming and movies,
casual, lives in. But it's just interesting. But moving on from Pedro, I have, we teased it at the beginning. MGM might have a buyer soon. The company was being sold for $5 billion, right? The company that owns the rights to James Bond, which is pretty much their only cash cow at this point, might be sold to none other than Disney, which we kind of speculated, I think, when this news first broke. But now there is officially talks about it. Before it was speculation, and now it's like Disney's coming out of the woodwork and going, well, we might actually
we'll take it. Yeah.
And it's crazy because MGM actually has a slate of over 4,000 titles in their back catalog. So it's like, that's pretty lucrative for Disney Plus.
That's a big take for sure. My only concern with Disney is that, where do the rules lie with the monopolistic law of Hollywood? Because apparently if they already own like 33%, probably now 35, I'd say almost 40% of Hollywood media, where's the line where they say you can buy MGM and that's still okay? Because I'd be like, come on, even James Bond, and you'll be seeing James Bond being made by MGM and Disney. Like, we're already seeing Disney start cutting studios, like the studio that made Ice Age. I saw that in the news headline, but I was too saddened to add that in. But of course, Disney's cutting, they're making cuts, and they're adding in new things. But where does the line end, and where does it start on how much Disney can own and how they can control Hollywood? You know what I mean?
I'm gonna give you the hot take. Our government doesn't give a shit. They say they do, they really talk about it, but they really don't give a shit. Like, I don't think anybody's gonna come in and be like, okay, Disney, like you're not gonna do this. It would never, like, Disney has such good lawyers that they would probably be able to get out of it. But it's like, if they really wanted to stop them from monopolizing, it would have happened with the Fox deal. Like, you bought a whole freaking competitor. Like, Fox was huge to buy, like they had so many properties, and then yet they still let them go through with it. They became a majority stakeholder in Hulu. So not only do they have Disney Plus as their own streaming, they also own this other one at this point. I think there's like 66% ownership. And they're saying, I don't know who the 33% is, the other 33%. I don't know if it's MGM that owns it, because that'd be crazy if it was. Because then they own all of Hulu. But like, all I'm saying is, it's like, Disney buys this. I feel like this is like a small fish in the eyes of like media, but it's not. It really isn't. 4,000 titles is a lot. But like, they're gonna present it like, oh, MGM is just a small fish, only $5 billion. It's like another Lucasfilm
in
or
the grand
Marvel,
scheme of things. For sure.
But in reality, it's like, dude, they're gonna own James Bond, and then that's just like another heavy hitter under their freaking belt. Which, personally, dude, if it goes to Disney, shit, like, you better not say anything bad about Disney online, because then you're never gonna work in entertainment. Like,
because it's all entertainment to them. Well, we have some more news now coming from Disney. Captain Marvel 2 now announces they found their main villain. It's going to be an actress from Velvet Buzzsaw. Her name is Zaw Ashton. I think it's Zaw. But I mean, the only thing I know her in is in Velvet Buzzsaw. She was pretty great in that. She was, great actress. And so people are already speculating online who this villain could be. I'm not too familiar with the Captain Marvel lore, but I'm sure there's a heavy roster of villains that they can pick and they can assign to this actress. But at least they got it assigned, and we have more details in a Marvel film. It's always good to hear, Can't complain.
Definitely. Captain Marvel 2 is going to be, I think, where we really see Monica Rambeau come to life. I think she's going to get her powers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
In WandaVision.
I was so lost at what I was like, Monica's dead.
Right.
I was thinking Marie, her mom. But yeah, Monica's going to be in this one for sure, and then Miss Marvel as well from the show. She's going to be in it.
Right. I think because I think they're going to do Miss Marvel, and then it's going to be Captain Marvel. Where like
the tie-in.
So I think Captain Marvel 2 might actually be a good movie.
Because they changed directors. I think Oh, that's right. The director is actually a pretty popular director. And if I'm not, you might hear me typing up here. Captain Marvel 2 director. We have Nia DaCosta. That's right. They swapped directors for this film. So, I mean, let's hope Nia brings something to the table for Captain Marvel. Because I don't know about that first one, but anyway, sorry. You can continue
on. Next up, I know for a fact you guys saw those Jared Leto pics. Come on, guys. I mean, if you didn't see those psychopathic Jared Leto pics this week, what were you doing? Man was in a slaughterhouse slaughtering pigs or something.
Like Arkham Asylum.
I got very much like Leatherface vibes from those pictures, you know, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. This is a hot direction that they're kind of going in. Makes him look more like legit.
Yeah.
Mixed bag though. Some people were like, I don't care for it. Some people were like, this is awesome. I mean, it's funny to see the internet kind of divide itself when it comes to, you know, anything. But especially castings or like new looks or stuff. But on the topic of the Snyder Cut, February 14th, Valentine's Day, hold your loved one in your hands and get ready to watch that new trailer for Justice League, the director's cut, because we are about to get our first big look at this movie in a different take, in a different light. Zack Snyder's been teasing this for at least the last 2 weeks. He's kind of been putting some little pictures out there. He put out these Jared Leto pics to kind of let people know.
Little teasers every day. The past 3 days, he's put out little teasers kind of showing the black suited Superman. He showed more images of Darkseid, and now we just recently today, as of shooting this episode, there was the Bat Tank. So like crazy stuff, crazy images. I'm sure we'll be doing a reaction. That'll probably be up the morning of that trailer posted. So stay tuned for that. But I don't know about you, man, but I'm getting so hyped these past couple of days thinking about this Snyder Cut because there's so much content in it. We had the Joker. And we have, you know, Deathstroke. Like, we were having so many, you know, little tidbits of DC jam-packed in this 4-hour epic. And I'm all for it. Right. I'm excited to see what they bring to the table with this.
Absolutely. I think that this movie's going to be, like, the make or break for the DCEU, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, if it doesn't do well, I think it will, because I think there's a lot of people out there who are excited for it. But I think if it fails or it flops, like, people are going to be like, well, I don't think DC is going to survive.
Yeah.
At least not live action. But, yeah, I don't know. I can sit here and tell you speculation all day. But I could give you some real news if you want to listen to something that's official. HBO Max and the CW are in talks to co-finance original shows to premiere on HBO Max with a next day airing on the CW. Now, this is a very interesting deal here because most of the time it's the other way around where it'll be on cable first and then streaming. HBO Max said, fuck that. Come to streaming first, then we'll put you on cable. And I'm like, whoa, way to pivot. Way to pivot the conversation because nobody's doing that. You don't see things show up on Netflix and then the next day it's on ABC. You know, like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy that they're doing this because it's a pretty good deal. But with that, I also want to get into the fact that HBO and HBO Max's chief content officer Casey Bloys, has detailed some of the Game of Thrones expansion plans. He was really recently interviewed on Variety, and it's really cool because I really actually enjoyed reading this interview from him because he kind of goes into kind of how they tackle movies and TV at HBO. But one of the biggest things about it, they asked him, like, how do you see the expansion for Game of Thrones comparing with Disney Plus? Like, Disney Plus has just said, like, oh, we're just going to put 10 Star Wars shows or 10 Marvel shows out, but not necessarily like you know, going like, is this story necessary? And so I just want to read you what he says. So he says, the way we try to approach it is not by saying we need 5 shows within 3 years, but what are the stories worth telling, which I love. Okay. He says, we've been developing multiple takes on different worlds. The one I want to do is the one that I think is best creatively. I prefer to make it about the stories and the showrunners and their vision as opposed to hitting some arbitrary target for the right number of shows, which is kind of a jab at Disney, but he's basically saying, like, we here at HBO, we like to take our time and really look at, is this worth spending the money and making it long term? You know, like, I think Disney right now is throwing a lot of money at shows just to make their service kind of pop. And we've discussed it before, but I think it's interesting to hear them talk about something that is more like legit. Like, they're not just saying 10 spinoffs of Game of Thrones. Like, let's just try to, you know, over jerk that freaking IP. But instead they're like, let's take our time with it. Let's see what works. Let's, I just think that's kind of cool coming from HBO. It shows you why they do so well, because they have like their chief content officer speaking this
agreed.
way. It's kind of exciting. So I just wanted to share that.
I always say, and I'll stand by this, if I say quality over quantity, but that doesn't mean quantity is bad. Because quantity, I don't believe quantity is bad as long as the quality is there. Because it would be one thing, I know I always say this too, and I'll stand by it. If Disney is making shows and they're like the last season of Game of Thrones, or if they're like the first Justice League cut, and people say this is awful, and they just keep getting bad reviews after bad review. I mean, I just saw something right now that said WandaVision is the most viewed show in the world, like the best, like the best series. Like, take that how you will, but if Disney, is going to make 10, 20 shows, right? It could be burnout. But if they're nonstop back to back, people love them and they love to watch them, then keep making it. If like they say, if they're going to make a good show on HBO and they want to, get in the best in storytelling, but then the HBO shows flop, where it's like, well, you can't help that. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You can talk all you want, but get your showrunners, and hopefully, I wish the best for them though. So that's my little take on it.
Absolutely.
Anyways, okay, continuing on here, we have some news for Disney. Continuing on with Disney, I just saw this and I had to say it now. They're reportedly having 3 to 4 weeks to decide whether or not they want to move with the Black Widow's release date. So for those of you Black Widow has been in talks for a long, long time right now. So the delays, if they delay this Black Widow film, it could potentially delay and affect the Disney Plus series and push those back, as well as other MCU films. So this Black Widow film is really huge for the schedule of the next couple of years. You know what I mean? So they're saying that Kevin Feige is kind of opposed to a streaming and theatrical hybrid rollout. But then I'm also hearing that they want to release it on Disney Plus. So at the moment, there's no confirmation on whether or not they're going to release it on Disney Plus.
Right.
But they're as of now still solid for a theatrical release. But we'll find out in a couple of weeks on what's going to happen. So we'll be on that.
I bet you $500 that it's Feige versus Disney right now, because it's like he's saying this movie's probably best served for theaters. Like, you want to experience it in a theater, the surround sound, the quality of the screen, and Disney's probably just like, hey man, we're just trying to make our money back at this point. Like,
just go Disney Plus, charge them $40,
right? Or even just be like, how about we just put it on Disney Plus and see how that does. But what I think is gonna hurt them is holding out on that too long, to the point where like you're saying, it pushes everything back. That would suck, dude, because at this point you've already hooked people with like the Marvel content. Like people, if you decide to push back like even like 2 or 3 weeks, you could lose people. And it's like, I don't need this.
It already feels like the hype has died. Like, I feel so bad. I mean, of course, day one I'm gonna see it, but I'm like, overall, it feels like the hype has died for that movie. It's like, you can release only so many trailers, but it's been like a year and a half. It seems like where the first one came out. You know what I mean,
dude? I mean, it looks good. It still looks great.
Yeah,
like,
it's amazing.
Natasha with her family, but like, you're right. I'm not as hyped as I once was. Yeah. If it comes out tomorrow, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. But it's like,
I feel like I've seen it already.
If it doesn't come out, I'm also okay with that. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, Black Widow hasn't come out yet. I want to watch that movie so badly. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and whine about it. Next up, we have a really great show coming to you from the creators of Rick and Morty, or the studio behind Rick and Morty, I should say. Alpha Betas is a really interesting concept here. It is going to star some of the biggest names in YouTube. Here, let me read you some of the names. Vanoz Gaming, a guy named Evan Fong, another guy named Basically I Do Work, Marcel Cunningham, I Am Wildcat, Tyler Wine, and Terrorizer Brian Hanby have all been chosen to star in this animation called Alpha Betas, which is really cool. Let me read you a quick synopsis about it. So it's set in a world where video games are powering life, like legitimately powering life. Like the worlds that video game creates kind of fuel the city. So it's known through this like massive top secret CIA program that's doing this. And the show follows an elite virtual strike force of these top 4 gamers as they drop into these virtual worlds and kind of fix potential issues that might be happening in those worlds that are affecting the real world. And it's like all 4 of them, and they kind of all have their own personalities. And it says there's a $500 billion U.S. government program, and it's just basically creates pixelated worlds that takes their consciousness, puts it in that. I think it's a crazy concept, personally. Like, this is the type of show that I think is going to relate with so many gamers. Like, there's a trailer out for it, and if you've checked out the trailer, like, it's genuinely actually pretty funny. Like, I was like, oh, this is going to be another show that you can watch, like a Rick and Morty, where you're just like, it's very vulgar and very like mature in its audience, I think. And I think going for the gamer route is great, because there's not a lot of shows that tackle like the gamer lifestyle or even attempt to, and doing something like this where it's like, oh, it's a CIA program that the government runs where the whole world is running on video games, is like the perfect premise, I think. And I'm so glad that they created this. I really am. So
yeah, I've been watching these YouTubers for years, so them making a show is like cool. They've done stuff like this before. They've done video games, and hearing their voices are so common to me. So it's like, cool, they're just going to be acting like themselves, because it seemed like they were just acting like themselves in the trailer. So pretty cool. All right, up next we have the Suicide Squad spin-off series Peacemaker will be hitting HBO Max in January 2022. That was from I just lost his name. James Gunn. I just completely blanked on his name. Yeah, James Gunn talked about it on his social media. He gave a release date for the spin-off show. That'll be from Suicide Squad. I don't know why a spin-off is so specific for this character, but at least we got a release date for that. And then we also have some more news here. That was a little quick one. We'll go into Apple Studios lands Dolly, which is a sci-fi courtroom film starring Florence Pugh. She's going to be, her recent is going to Midsommar, and she's going to be in Black Widow. Florence Pugh is going to be playing a robotic companion doll who is on trial for killing her owner. So Apple, that's another big one, kind of like cherry scale for Apple.
That sounds really cool, actually. Like iRobot, but it's more of like the robot went rogue and now it's on trial.
Yeah, could be interesting.
Just turn it off.
God, yeah. Pour some water on the head. No, nah, I'm kidding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next article, we actually just wanted to take a moment to talk about the Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer that dropped the next day after our last episode. Oh my gosh, Super Bowl Sunday. What a crazy day. We got an amazing trailer for this show, and I think it just got me hyped. Like, I legitimately wasn't like that excited for this one, I'll be honest. Like, I was like, okay. But they actually did a really good job of selling the action, where it's like, this is going to be a heavy hitter movie where it's
absolutely.
Like,
apparently
they're kind of
breaking records
feuding,
too.
Really?
Yeah, the story looks great and everything. But yeah, as for like specs on the trailer, they said it's one of the most viewed Super Bowl series trailer ever, most viewed, stuff like that. Specifics on viewings. But yeah, like you said, the action looks great. I think the hype for this show is more hype than WandaVision, because people already had it's like a normal MCU film, so people kind of know what to expect. Right. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna be doing a reaction series on it, breaking down this show. I am so incredibly hyped to get into this one as well and see what MCU brings with another genre of story.
Yeah, bro. And Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan have already said like this is gonna be a great show to like build on the legacy of Chris Evans' Captain America. So it's gonna be really cool. We saw a little hint of both of them holding the shield in the trailer, so it's kind of cool to see. It's like, are they sharing the mantle of Captain America? Is it not just like one? Which is kind of a cool concept, right? Because we leave it off to where it's like the Falcon's going to take over, but it's like, why don't we share this? Who's saying that I can only be Captain America? So it's like, it's going to be interesting to see how they break that apart. Next up, we have Umbrella Academy's cast actually scored a big pay raise ahead of season 3. That's right. Nice. Season 3 is coming. We already have that confirmed. Still haven't watched season 2. Season 1, French Kiss.
Oh, absolutely.
But season 2, haven't quite gotten into. Some of these shows, like The Boys season 2, love first season. I'm just holding out. I'm like waiting. Yeah. I'm like, when I don't have anything to watch, I can be like, yes.
I got you.
But I just keep holding out on it. But they're now getting paid a little bit over $200,000 per episode, which is pretty impressive. For being a series regular on Netflix, like if you want to know what that's like, $200,000 could be in your future if you decide to become an actor.
Insane.
A good actor, I should say. This is a quick one. I just want to throw it in there. You guys remember the movie Face Off from back in the day?
Face Off.
I think
John
it was Travolta,
Nicolas Cage, right?
Nicolas Cage,
Travolta and Cage, dude. I'm gonna take his face. Oh, yes. Memes for years.
Exactly. So that movie is getting a sequel, and it's gonna be called Facelift.
Oh, no. Oh, I didn't know about the title. I knew they were like, I heard about the story, but I didn't know it's called Facelift. Oh God,
dude. And the funniest part about it, it's like the director is the guy from Godzilla vs. Kong. And he's gonna be at Paramount. But I'm thinking to myself, like, why did they give this guy this project? Like,
oh my
do they think Godzilla vs. Kong's not gonna do well? So they're like, hey guys, just give him another project that's probably not gonna do well, and just let's get rid of this guy. Like,
I saw this tweet where they said, I want Travolta and Cage to come back for a reboot, but I just want them to switch roles. I'm like, no way. Come on.
That's hilarious.
That's great.
Like,
yeah.
that'd be crazy. Like, they switch roles and then they switch faces. So
but
they're like playing themselves again, you know?
Yeah, it's so dumb. But anyways, continue on. More updates from streaming services. This is from HBO. For those of you that have it, Succession. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. Season 3, it started shooting and was hopefully going to be airing in late 2021. This is exciting because we haven't heard any word on this show, so it's going to be coming. Stay tuned for that. We have Barry season 3 has also started shooting. That's Emmy award winning show. It's so hilarious. I definitely recommend that one. And then Lovecraft Country season 2 is apparently being explored by a writing team. Now I don't know. I guess the first season was a little mixed. I couldn't get through it. The first season was, I'm gonna say, I thought it was awful, but you know they're working to try and fix season 2. So we'll keep you updated.
Some people really like that show. I haven't seen it, but I know a lot of people that I've met that were like, "Yo, that show was good." So
I gotta keep watching it. I didn't give it a chance. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't give it a chance, but
it makes sense. I haven't given it a chance either. But it's just on the bucket list of things I might or might not watch. Next up, we have The Players Table, starring Sydney Sweeney. I was like, Sydney Sweeney. I was like, what kind of name is that? Sydney Sweeney and Halsey, making her TV debut on this show, The Players Table. And it's kind of cool. Let me give you a quick synopsis. It's the affluent town of the Gold Coast, Long Island. Doesn't sound that crazy, but a community sustained by lies, complicity, and absolute moral decay. 2 young women, who we just mentioned, come of age as they unravel the mystery of a classmate's murder. So it's another like Big Little Lies, The Undoing type, where it's like, we're going to see a murder at the beginning, and then it's like, oh, here's 7 episodes. Who did it, you know? My money's on Halsey, because she's new to the TV game. They're just going to be like, you're the murderer now.
Already speculating. I got you. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I don't know if that show's going to be good or not, but I saw a little concept art for their, like, I think their poster, and it looks really cool. It looked pretty dope.
Okay, nice.
I love whodunits. Personally, that's like my favorite genre. Like, especially when it's like really, really good, and like the whole time you're like kind of like WandaVision vibes. I feel like WandaVision was a whodunit.
Mysteries, figuring it out. Absolutely, I agree. When it's good production, especially, it's like, oh man, I want to find out. Well, this is kind of also a mystery in a way. Bullet Train. This is one of the most stacked casts I've ever heard of in all my days. No, I'm just kidding. But Bullet Train just added Sandra Bullock to the cast. All right, we have Lady Gaga, Brad Pitt, Zazie Beetz, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Michael Shannon, Brian Tyree Henry, Joey King, and Andrew Koji. We've talked about this film before on our show on What's Poppin', I believe. We've talked about this before, and it's gonna be coming out, I believe, on Netflix. Here's a little summary for you guys. 5 assassins find themselves on a fast-moving bullet train from Tokyo to Morioka, with only a few stops in between. They discover their missions are not related to one another. The question becomes, who will make it off the train alive, and what awaits them at the terminal station. So that's so enticing. But I mean, stacked cast. Another stacked cast. We have a comedy from Judd Apatow. It's a pandemic comedy. It's gonna be called The Bubble, and it has Pedro Pascal, Karen Gillan, David Duchovny. David Duchovny. Yes.
David Duchovny.
Yeah. Keegan-Michael Key, Maria Bakalova, and Fred Armisen. I mean, it's a film that follows a group of actors stuck in a hotel bubble as they try to complete a film. Sounds super funny. I mean, I'm going to be checking that one out too. Big cast films, I am all for those.
Absolutely. No. It sounds like a great project. Damn.
It's crazy, right? It takes a little bit to be like, what? to process it.
Nah, just the cast. Like I'm just like, dude, and the premise is good. It's a good premise for sure. I think this movie's gonna be a hit. Personally, I think with a cast like that, I might be getting kind of like what was that movie called? Murder on the Orient Express. You know?
Okay.
Like, like kind of like train wise. Definitely gonna check this out. Next up, we have the Chappelle Show is back at Netflix with the blessing of Dave Chappelle. This is actually a very interesting story, I think. He says, this was an interview that came out. He says, I asked you to stop watching the show, and thank God Almighty for you because you did. Chappelle said about his fans, you made that show worthless because without your eyes, it's nothing, which is true. If you don't watch TV, if you don't watch a show, then what's the point of having it on your streaming service? So he added, and when you stopped watching it, they called me and I got my name back and I got my license back and I got my show back and they paid me millions of dollars. Thank you very much. So literally Viacom, you know, the owner of Comedy Central, basically gave him the rights back to his show. And, you know, he went back to Netflix and said, hey, look, I'm going to get paid now. So put Chappelle's show back on. Yeah. And I think that this is one of those stories that is just so crazy to think about because in November, you know, he asked them to pull it and they did it. You know, Netflix and HBO pulled the show off. And in a matter of 4 months, Comedy Central was like, we're not making any money off of this. Like, we might as well make a deal with Chappelle so we both win. You know, and it's just crazy because he said, I can finally say to Comedy Central, it's been a pleasure doing business with you. And I just want to take a small moment here to say how great this moment is for film, for, you know, contract deals, for artists,
relationships in the industry.
Exactly. Relationships in general, where it's like, there is a trust factor when you go into business with one of these companies, when it's a big studio or it's, you know, a big network, and it's just like you kind of, you know, like they say you sell your soul essentially, because it's like you're selling your image, you're selling your voice, you're selling the rights to everything about you for millions of dollars. Don't get me wrong. And yes, selling your soul isn't the best wording for that, because it's like, yes, if you're an artist, you want these things and they're essentially giving you opportunity. The selling of the soul is more of like you just belong to them, like you become a property in their catalog. So Chappelle didn't like that. You know, he ended up leaving before season 3 started of Chappelle's show, and they were going to pay him $50 million, and I didn't think he had any of that. And he said it was because of stress. And, you know, doing a big show like that, it's kind of like doing Seinfeld. You know, when Seinfeld was at its peak,
such an intimidating.
Right.
There's so
and then
much
it's like,
hype for it. Yeah.
Oh, every week we have to surpass our numbers, or every week we have to be known as the biggest show, the biggest comedy show. And that's why you see Jerry Seinfeld get so upset when Larry King is like, you guys were the biggest show, or like he makes a comment like that where it's like, and then Jerry Seinfeld's like, we were the biggest show online. Like we left at the peak, you know, like nobody does that. Nobody leaves at the peak when the show's at its best, you know? And it's just like, it's interesting to see Chappelle do that. And then like years later, like I didn't watch Chappelle's show whenever I was a kid. Yeah. But like years later, you see how he's been influenced and like his career and just culture changed.
Absolutely.
Right. Because of the people. And it just shows you how much power the people have. And it's just something never to forget. Power to the people.
Oh, yeah. Well said. Well said. Well, we have some more, I'd say, awesome news. This is great for Marvel fans. I especially. Spike Lee, probably a very prolific director. He says he'd consider directing a Marvel film, and he called DC corny, all right? And so based on this article that he was interviewed, when asked about calling DC Comics corny, Lee laughed. He said, I'm just saying I was all about Marvel. If the right opportunity comes across, I'm not campaigning for it, but I will give it consideration. So the fact that someone as, you know, prolific again and, you know, very artsy and very, I don't know, he's very talented into his film, like in cinema, you know,
I would say well known
as well. Yeah. And in the Scorsese sense of cinema and making pictures, he's very, I'd say, more mature on the caliber than Marvel, essentially. And for him to even consider it is like, wow. See, even directors like him can consider a theme park film like Avengers.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? I know he
No,
said
no,
he's not campaigning for it, but at least he's.
I
admitting-
like
he's
the way
"No."
you said that. I really like the way you said that, like theme park movie. You know,
That's what Scorsese said.
Superhero
Yeah.
movies are kind of like theme park movies for sure. But it's like, I think Spike Lee. I've met Spike Lee before, and like I was at the Critics' Choice Awards, and I ran into the cast of what's that movie called?
Black Klansman.
Black Klansman, and I got a picture with Adam Driver, and I was like, dude, I just gotta say, like, the directing in this was so awesome. Like, what was it like working with Spike Lee? And he was like, I love Spike, but if you really want to talk to like about direction, like he's right there. Like he was literally to my left. Like I was so focused on Adam Driver that I was just like, oh my God, Adam Driver. And he was just like I just turned around and I just put my arm on him and I was like, Spike, the movie was amazing, dude. Like I haven't like felt chills in a theater like that from a movie that had so much significance. And he was like, you really mean that? And I was like, yes. And he was just like, all right, brother.
That's cool.
He did one of these and I felt the respect.
Like
I was like, fuck yeah.
The fist to the chest. That's true respect. I like that. That's great, man.
Yeah.
He seems like a cool guy, man. He seems like a cool cat, I should say. But
yeah.
whatever.
Do you know who was really awkward though? The girl from that movie who was opposite Washington.
Oh, from Homecoming, right?
From Homecoming. Yeah. She's a little awkward, bro. Like,
okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. She was sitting like I first sat there because I was just like looking for people to talk to because I kind of float at these award shows and like she was just kind of like really snide. Like she was like, oh, you don't know who I am kind of vibes, and I was just like, I'm good. Like
what?
Like,
oh
I'm
my
good.
God.
Yeah. And like Adam Driver is just so chill, dude. That dude is just like
he seems like he's always like I don't know, nervous for some reason. I don't know. That's
I kind of feel like he's always just like stoned, but then he's just really, really good at hiding it, and then he's just kind of like chilling. Like he's just a chill dude. Like nothing fades. Cool. Like he doesn't get phased by anything. Like someone could be like, "There's a meteor coming," he'd be like, "Okay."
Nice.
Where's the bunker? That way? Okay, cool. Like it's just super calm. Like you're not gonna get a, like what's that movie? The Wedding? No, not The Wedding. The Wedding? Man. You know what I'm talking about? The one.
Yeah, it's blank for me, but I know it's
blanking as well. Yeah, the one he did with Scarlett Johansson. You're not gonna get any.
Oh,
of that.
The Marriage Story. Sorry,
Marriage Story. Yeah. He's not gonna blow up or anything. High emotion. He's just kind of like a super cool guy. But yeah. Anyways, I have some light news left. That's pretty much all I got. And a little bit has to do with WandaVision. So we're going to take a minute to talk about episode 6 of WandaVision because if we don't, then what's the point of doing a podcast about TV? You know what I'm saying?
Right?
You know what I'm saying? First off, I want to start you off with the news. So apparently 2 weeks before, we got our, and spoiler alert, Evan Peters cameo. We basically had the Spanish actor who dubbed him for Marvel came out 2 weeks prior. And I actually saw this story and I was just kind of like, oh, it's probably just more speculation because it's like, who knows, right?
Yeah.
He was like, Evan Peters is going to come out. Like, I can confirm it. I did the Spanish dubbing for it. And a part of me was like, that's just somebody online saying that.
Yeah.
But now, like, once that episode came out, Marvel came out and said they've actually fired that dude and been like, he's getting sued because that was like super confidential information and it breached their contract. But pivoting now to WandaVision, I just want to say, if you haven't seen the reactions from those episodes, they're on our YouTube. Definitely go check them out. But this show is legendary every week. But episode 6, oh my gosh. Episode 6 was, in my opinion, the pinnacle because you're ending Act 2. And it did the perfect job of delivering like a mix of all the content they've delivered so far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. It's probably some of the best form of Marvel media that I've seen so far. You know, because as a comic book lover and the lore and Easter eggs, for the past, I don't know, five-ish years now, well, not five-ish, I'd say probably for the past 2-3 years of Marvel, the story has been very clear on where they're going, and there wasn't much speculating to do. It was just kind of finding Easter eggs. With Marvel, with WandaVision, you're kind of setting up a whole new chapter of the MCU with Phase 4, 5, and 6, and a whole new saga. You know, Infinity Saga's over. You have a new story to tell, and it's kind of like interesting to see the community and fans speculate. Oh, it's going here, mutants, or it's going here with Fantastic Four, and it's that 2012 feel of after Avengers came out. Everyone was like, what's next? You know what I mean? And that's what I get from this, where we can talk about it because we have no idea. We know what shows are coming out and movies are coming out, but we don't know how we're going to get there. You know, with Infinity War and Endgame and Spider-Man, we knew it's like, okay, they're going to fight the bad guy. They're going to do, like, it's very linear at that point. Right. But now it's like, oh, no. And that's
personally, I wasn't necessarily getting excited for Marvel movies when they were coming out, except I would say Infinity War and Endgame, like I was legitimately hyped for it. Like I was like, damn, I'm going to watch this in the theater first week. Like even, I think I watched Endgame premiere night. I think Infinity War as well. But like, I wasn't like looking forward like to every single movie that was, I'm going to go watch Captain Marvel. Like, yes, I watched it. Yeah. I'm going to go watch Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yes, I watched it. But like, it wasn't this type of level of hype where I'm like literally thinking about WandaVision, thinking about the characters, speculating like crazy. And I think part of it might have to do with the fact that we're doing a video series about it, that it kind of keeps the gears turning, which is fun for me because it's like, I already like these properties, but I never thought I would actually like a show like WandaVision, like just focused on Wanda and Vision.
These very minuscule characters. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, they were cool characters during the Infinity Saga, but I never thought like, I just want a full storyline about them.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just really cool to see that.
Absolutely.
But that was just our little take on that. If you there's so much in that last episode that could be talked about.
We do a whole series. Each week we do a whole series, so stay tuned. You know, watch us on YouTube. We'll be posting our reaction to every single episode, as well as doing like breakdowns and probably a review at the end. So definitely check out our YouTube, or if you're on YouTube, check that out down.
Absolutely. I just want to throw this in there just before I give you the floor again. Timothée Chalamet, did you see him play Edward Scissorhands, like the little brother? Or
the commercial,
yeah. The commercial was so cool.
The Super Bowl commercial, it was pretty cool. You know, I think it's one of those interesting little commercials that lives on for a week, and then it's like, cool, another nice little fun
I personally thought it was super smart. Like, it's a self-driving car, so you have this concept of Edward Scissorhands who basically can't drive, and then he's like,
that's great.
Hey, try the self-driving, and he's like, oh my gosh, I can be normal, you know, in this world that he's not normal in.
Wow.
So it's just really smart as a concept, but I just wanted to talk about it because obviously it's a movie topic. So
I got you. That's cool. So as for me, I have just light news now. You know, we can kind of skim through it. This is fast takes for you guys. We have a live action Powerpuff Girls series. It's going to be getting a pilot order for the CW's 2021-2022 season. Luigi, you were pretty hyped about this. I've never seen Powerpuff Girls. I know it's very significant thing in pop culture, but they might be getting live action. Who knows will be the cast. Well, if they announce a cast and it's huge, we'll definitely talk about it. As well, we have Jack Black will be voicing Claptrap in the Borderlands film. We talked about this on Checkpoint, our gaming podcast, and it was kind of funny. We're stumbling with the words of Jack Black and Claptrap because it's such a tongue twister. But I mean, the cast already, I saw Kate Blanchett's in it and Kevin Hart. So that's going to be interesting. More gaming movies and gaming media coming into Hollywood. We also have Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is officially hitting screens April 8th, 2022. We now have an official date for that sequel. We have Watchmen director Nicole Castle will take the helm of a wonderful Wizard of Oz reimagining at New Line, the company New Line. So that's going to be, who knows what that's going to be. We don't know if it's a series or film yet, but that's pretty interesting.
I wouldn't mind a Wizard of Oz series. That'd be kind of a cool concept. I don't think anybody's tried that.
Yeah, I think the most recent was Oz, the Great and Powerful. That was kind of a little weird spin-off with James Franco. Do you remember that?
I'm talking about like a TV show. You know, I remember that. I'm talking about a TV show of the Wizard of Oz. I have never even thought about that. Like, that'd be kind of a cool world to explore. I think the coolest news you brought up was that Powerpuff Girls, though. Like that's gonna be crazy. Like, what is that gonna look like? They have so many crazy-looking villains in that show. That what are they gonna look like? That's more I know of what the I'm green thing. Like Mojo Jojo, what's that gonna look like? You know, like, is that gonna be like an actor playing a monkey, or is that gonna be CGI, or is that what is?
Yeah, I got you. I wouldn't know. You know, I guess in the words of Jeff Goldblum, life finds a way. They'll figure it out. Right. I don't know. Anyways, okay, and then the last couple we have Scooby-Doo is getting an adult comedy spinoff starring Velma. It's in development at HBO Max. Man, people love Velma. And it's Mindy Kaling Mindy Kaling. Am I saying her name right?
Mindy Kaling.
Kaling. Okay, sorry. She wrote Office, of course. Many people know her. She's a great actress. She's gonna be voicing the brains of the Mystery Incorporated in her animated origin story. So that's pretty cool.
I think it's gonna be kind of like Harley Quinn, where it's a little R-rated.
Okay, nice. I like that.
Which is probably the best direction to go with like a new Scooby-Doo show, because like people love Scooby-Doo and they love, like, I don't know if you watch Mystery Incorporated, probably one of the best shows out there for this stuff.
Okay, nice.
When it comes to Scooby-Doo, but I do want to say before I give you the mic back, Gina Carano. Gina Carano fired. Canceled. Right. I would say more canceled, but yes, she both. But apparently she's now going to be producing and starring in an upcoming documentary / film talking about cancel culture for Daily Wire. And this is so interesting because people were saying she was being anti-Semitic by what she said, which is basically she said that conservatives are treated worse than Jews in the Holocaust, right? That's what she said, and then she deleted it. And there's a lot of controversy. Obviously, there's going to be controversy with that.
See, if she stood by the opinion, she wouldn't have deleted it.
Right. Exactly.
No, I'm not even going to get into it. Okay, I'm not going to get into it.
I wouldn't say if she stood by it. I think Disney was probably like, take it down. Or somebody told her, hey, take it down. You might get in trouble. But the funniest comment that I saw was like, how are you going to say she's anti-Semitic and then she goes and works for a Jew, which is Ben Shapiro, right? So it's like, how are you saying that when it's literally like in your face? She's doing the opposite.
Wow.
And I think it's just a comment. There's so much to unpack there, and I'm not trying to make this show political, but like definitely interesting to see. I'm gonna follow up with that. That's gonna be a follow up story for sure in the coming weeks. I'm gonna keep you updated on that. But just wanted to mention it.
Love it.
Also, Disney Plus, the numbers have come out since the last time we told you. I think it was like 4 weeks ago. We said 76 million. Now it's at 94.9, almost 95 million subscribers for Disney Plus, which goes to show WandaVision is getting the job done. Mandalorian getting the job done. And all the hype for their other shows, people are starting to want to subscribe to Disney Plus. They're having a reason to subscribe, which is kind of cool.
Disney to the moon. Disney to the moon.
Absolutely. Disney to the moon. I can finish this off and then you can wrap up because I know you got one last one. But this is probably the biggest news as far as shows that I love, shows that I've hyped up, that I've recommended to you. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We got news this week that Brooklyn Nine-Nine will end after this next season, season 8.
Bummer.
I am sad, like legitimately sad, because I was watching it yesterday, right as I was putting these articles into this doc. I was watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and that show is just the pinnacle of what I hope to write one day as a comedy, like a workplace comedy that is centered around one premise, like either Police or The Office or Parks and Rec, like something like that, where it was just like, here's one place, and then let's build a world around it that is just filled with comedy, that is filled with outrageousness, and it's just one of those shows that just does that really well. It's got a great ensemble, ending after its next season, and I hate to see it, but the creators have spoken. It's on their own terms, which is the best way to go out. I hate for a show to get canceled. It almost did. The fans brought it back, and now it's going to end after this next season.
Okay. Unfortunate to hear. All right. Yeah. Well, my last headline is for those of you Batman lovers. We got some interesting more news. I feel like we've talked about HBO a lot. HBO is just bringing
HBO killed it this week.
Content. HBO president promises there will be a crossover between the Batman, the film with Robert Pattinson, and Gotham City PD, the spin-off series with Gordon and that actor and that whole series. So that's great to hear, because I hate when they separate scale in the same universe. You know, kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to Marvel, where it was never like the same. But the fact that we could see Robert Pattinson maybe in that series or they connect, perfect. That's all I want. Dude, that's all I ask.
Me too. Even if it's just like one every 3 episodes, we see a Robert Pattinson cameo, and the rest of the time it's like, you know, Gordon doing real detective work, or him really going through case files or exploring the city, and then every once in a while he runs into Batman. Because is the Gotham City PD taking place after the Batman? Like, as far as chronologically the story, is it taking place after the movie? Do you know?
Yeah, I think it's I heard it's a prequel. I think it's a prequel to this movie, but I don't know. I don't know any news. I'll definitely look it up and definitely let you guys know in the next coming episodes. But that's it for us. That's our headlines. That's our news.
What?
That's all our stories we got.
That's everything? I know.
I think that's everything.
Isn't that crazy? We gave you guys like 20, 25 things there. That was a lot. Definitely enjoyed this week. This has been a fantastic episode. Like, I feel like there was so much fun topics to talk about. HBO reigning supreme over everybody else. But personally, man, I am so excited for the future of the film industry and just like movies and streaming.
Same.
Every week, I'm more and more hyped for projects that are coming out, for new IP or remakes of old IP like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which is going to be nuts. But absolutely looking forward to it. I just want to say thank you so much if you're listening on audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you're listening to this, even if it's on YouTube. Look, I just looked up into the camera. Now you can see me looking at you. But I just want to tell you guys that from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate your support. We're going to wrap up here with our recommendations, and then the show will be over and you can go on and do whatever you were doing. So, Ryder, what do you got for those this week?
Well, I haven't been watching a lot. I've only been watching one show.
Okay.
And that's the best show in the world right now. That's WandaVision. So I recommend, please go get a Disney Plus subscription and check out WandaVision. That's all I can recommend.
Add to their
that's all
numbers.
I've been watching. Just add to their numbers and help feed the monopolistic company that they are.
Right.
Feed the beast. Anyways, yeah, go check out
Guys,
WandaVision.
Disney needs more money to buy MGM, so subscribe.
Help them out. Help them out. That's funny. What about you, man?
For the last time, I am recommending New Girl because I finally finished that show.
Oh, nice.
And I want to say, I'll give you guys a quick synopsis review. Spoiler alert for New Girl.
Geez, always quick spoiler alerts.
But basically, I would say it's a 4 out of 5 show.
Okay.
I stayed for Schmidt and Cece.
Okay.
Right? There's an episode, if you really want to know what I recommend, there's a whole episode of this show that talks about Prince, that like he's literally in the show and he's literally like a character, and that episode is so awesome. Like I had never actually heard Prince talk like for a long period of time, so it was kind of funny to me because I was like, oh shit, he's kind of like a cool
the
guy.
iconic singer that passed away, right? Prince.
Right. And it's so cool to see that because personally, I'm hyped, dude. I'm so hyped. For the future,
anything and everything that's coming. Absolutely.
Agreed. But New Girl is just, it was a classic. I had to watch it. A lot of people were telling me about it, and I would recommend. And I think people would genuinely enjoy it. I think towards the end of season 6, I kind of stopped liking Zooey Deschanel as much as I wish I would have.
Yeah.
But season 7 does a good job of wrapping up the show. And they almost didn't get a season 7. When Disney bought Fox, Disney actually canceled New Girl. And then the creators were like, you guys, we need to end this show like on a proper note, because then the fans are going to be like, what happens to these characters?
Yeah.
So then they gave them 9 episodes to like wrap up the whole show, which was
so it's a fast, like, last little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think every other season had like 23 episodes, and this one only has like 11 or something, like 9 or 11.
Oh my
something
God.
like that.
That's crazy.
But definitely check it out if you haven't. That's it for us today. It's been a little bit of a longer one, but we speculated and had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys had fun with us too. I
want to say thanks for all the support so far, because we've been seeing a lot of support on YouTube with some of our videos breaking a couple thousand views. Well, 1,000 views, but separately. And so that's huge for us. Thank you guys for watching. Leaving a like and leaving your comments on our TikTok or social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're on everything. Just got to throw out our thanks, because we don't do that, a lot. Right. So, but we want you guys to know that we're always thankful for your support for anything that you do. So
it's appreciated. It's appreciated for sure.
Sure.
Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.